Yeah, so this was a fun little project we did, and it's always very good if you have a little bit of a balance, you know, between this very commercial project, everything is super glossy and amazing, looking 3D and whatever, and those more, I don't want to say creative, but kind of like more free projects, concept-wise. So, in either way, how we approach a project is that because we work always in visual universes, so all of our projects, I think, have in common that they are visually, they're built up in an environment with a lot of, you know, abstract graphics in it maybe, but in any ways it's not reality, but it's in some way, you know, abstracted. So what we do is we jump right into look development at the very beginning usually, that because if you talk about graphical things, visual things, it's really important to be able to look at pictures as soon as possible. So, you know, street corner, and just tried a couple of different colors and so on. And, you know, the issue was really that because of the fact that the project was free and it was in between other projects, we didn't have a huge amount of time for it, or, you know, not a lot of resources also. So at the beginning we tried to come up with a style, you know, which is simple and technically rough render, but what you can see in it is this atmosphere, and that's what we really wanted to achieve. So maybe a little bit about the story. So the Pictoplasma Festival is in Berlin every 2 years, I think, and it's about character design. And what they make really, what makes them really unique is that they have also a very intellectual way of approaching it. So the guys who organize it, they studied some cultural sciences, so they are not like a design people saying, oh, that's nice, it looks cool, but they have really like a theoretical mindset about it, and you know, you look at it and you instantly get that feeling with the empty city, it still looks appealing and so on. But we thought it doesn't look doomsday-ish enough. It's a bit sunny, and, you know, it would be really also very nice. So we tried to break that down and you know, make it a little bit more, a little bit darker. So what that project made also interesting is that we, from the development phase, we kind of, you know, approached it from differently than we usually do. What we usually do is we do storyboard sketches, right? And then we do those style frames that you see here, and then we take it into 3D. But for that project, you know, we wanted to make it have it like an illustration feel to it. So what we did is we went the other way around. First we made those kind of like very reduced 3D build question. And tackling that, I have another quote, which is this one. I'm always looking like a child for the wonders I know I'm going to find. And that quote is by Richard Feynman, who's a Nobel Prize winner. And he worked on a couple of things. He has in physics, he worked on subatomic particles, nanotechnology, the atomic bomb, and also he performed the bongo drums regularly. So obviously, you know, he's a guy who knows about creativity. And I can relate to that quote personally because I studied in Hildesheim, which is a small city in Germany, and it looks like this. And also like this, and it's not really, you know, inspiring. So I think, you know, what that quote means for me is that you can find things in the details, no matter where you are. You know, anything can be inspiring. And I'm sure a couple of you guys know it. I'm just going to see it.
This is an awareness test.
Who of you knows that view? Well, okay, that's not all. No, I'm just going to say.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Yeah, That's actually for real. I mean, the bell was there at the beginning as well. I remember when I watched it the first time, I couldn't believe it. I scrolled the video back, but it's actually there, and it's called perceptual blindness. And this invisible gorilla test, I mean, that was an advertising, but it's actually a well-known test in psychology by Daniel Simmons of the University of Illinois and Christopher Chabris from Harvard from 1999. And what the numbers say that 50% of the subjects watching that example don't see the bear at the beginning. So let's do that experiment here. How many of you who didn't know that video before did not notice the moonwalking bear? Wow, crazy, isn't it? I think. And what he says is there are two modes, and he calls it the open mode and the closed mode. And where the open mode is what people are not if they count the numbers of passes, and the closed mode is what you're in if you count the numbers of passes, and then obviously you miss it, right? And he categorizes it as the open mode being relaxed, less purposeful, contemplating, humorous, which is really important, like if you're in a good mood, and playful, and that's one of the main points. It's the playfulness, like shy at approaching things. Well, the closed mode is what you are usually at work. You know, you're focused on one thing, you're purposeful, you know, you're a little bit stressed out maybe by your boss, which would be me in that case. And so you can't see the bigger picture, you know. And there's a really interesting, again, a study by the psychologist Michael Robinson. And what he did was he had two different groups of a couple of hundred people, and he had the following instructions for them. So to the one group he said, "You are 7 years old and school is cancelled. You have the entire day to yourself. What would you do? Where would you go? Who would you see?" Now, then they had 10 minutes to write the answers down. And where that happened, the other group received the exact same instructions, but with the difference of the first sentence being left out. So you are 7 years old and school is cancelled, that was left out. So they just had, you have the entire day to yourself, what would you do, where would you go, who would you see, right? Now, after they just scribbled down those answers, they did a couple of tests, creativity tests, which, you know, assess the amount of creativity, and what it is trying to invent alternative uses for an old car tire, for example, or they're listing all the things one could do with a brake. So it's basically things where you have to be in an open mind mode, you know, to find a lot of answers. So what that test showed is that these students who imagined themselves as young kids had twice as many answers for those creative tasks, which is amazing, because what it says really is that that mode in which you are, if you're a little kid, that open mode, you know, that just playfulness and watching the world is completely new, that is what creativity can be.